So Steve just got banned from Let's Make Big Moves 2024 and Let's Make Moves Miami. And of course, to arrive at this important decision, they used the latest scientific, statistical analysis and most in-depth crowdsourcing research available. No, they just asked a couple thousand people on Twitter. Now, before I go on where I stand, obviously I wasn't planning to fly out to America to attend this event, so this doesn't really affect me, but I'm going to be gutted not to see my favourite players going for glory at these events.
Production!
Most importantly, however, this scares me as to how easily these TOs can just get away with this blatant BS. If you're not sure what I'm on about, let me break it down for you. So to kick things off, let me ask you a question. If you were going to a big event where you could win lots of money, and I gave you the option to say, hey, throughout this tournament, you never have to play against a Zelda, which is a matchup you're probably not that experienced with and can be really annoying. Let's be honest, the majority of you would say yes, and shout out to everyone who would say no who wants to play the game as it's presented. But the point is, it's not a Steve-specific thing to face one less matchup in an event, especially when there's a lot of money on the line, as is the case with these massive events. At the end of the day, it's a competitive advantage to face one less matchup, especially against someone as formidable as Steve. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain by saying yes to banning Steve. Now, I know this won't be everyone's reason as to why they said yes to banning Steve, but it's important to consider that this will be a lot of people's reasons, or even some, which means that that big percentage shown on that pie chart gets massively taken down. And more importantly, we don't know how much of this is going to be taken down by, because this was a very small survey over not a lot of people, and it only asked 3 questions. Editor's note, it was actually not required to prove that you were going to the event, so people could have just blatantly lied on the survey as well. There's just not enough data and statistics to give an accurate result. Which moves me on to my next point, which really annoys me. Steve haters will act like they're taking in public opinion, but they've clearly already made up their minds. No way was this survey ever going to give something useful and some real statistics we can draw from. The statistics are absolutely meaningless, but yet it will convince a lot of people on Twitter that they've taken the public opinion in.
What does that have to do with it?
No. He's got a point.
We had something similar with Steve's infamous PMLG broken game-changing tech, where all the Steve haters jumped on board and said how broken it would be and it would destroy the game. But even after it was shown that Steve PMLG was completely useless, as most Steve mains said, including the best player in the world.
And he personally doesn't think going to use that on his match because of that difficulty and other things.
Steve haters kind of just went, yeah, well, let's ban the character anyway.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. We don't care.
At the end of the day, it was just an excuse to try and ban Steve. And this wraps up my point. Steve haters will try and do anything to get Steve banned. And if you want Steve banned for a legitimate reason, that's fine. But please don't come up with these random surveys and statistics which just aren't true to try and get your way. Come up with actual fact and information, present good arguments, and you can have a discussion about it. But these false claims, deceptions, and misdirections presented by these TOs is really worrying for the future of Smash. Now, at the end of the day, I'm really not fussed if TOs have that much of a issue with Steve. Fine, ban him, but at least can we please not disguise it as this is what the people want. Just because people are loud on Twitter does not mean it's the majority opinion. In all matters, remember that people who shout and whine aren't painting a picture that represents the scene as a whole. They're just making more noise. So please, before you make big decisions on future Steve bans or anything in life, make sure you are accurately surveying the whole audience, not just the whiny TOs on Twitter. Alright, thanks for listening to my rant. Shout out all my Manchester TOs. Love you guys. You're the best.